Congratulations, you've made it to video number 4. You're doing great. Probably. I don't know. I'm not there with you. Okay, so this video is going to be about the consequences of behavior. Sorry, somebody drove by being very loud. Anyways, um, and there are 4 consequences that we can follow up a behavior with. Just 4. And I've like been called a nerd about ABA a couple of times, but this is one of the things that I super nerd out over. Because there's only 4. Like every behavior you've ever performed in your life was followed up with one of these 4 things. And I just love the simplicity in that. So without further ado, let's go through them. Now, because I'm working from my kitchen table, which I'm sure you can tell, this is not exactly high tech. And what you don't know about me yet, but what you certainly will learn is that I'm not technologically savvy. So I like to do a lot of my visuals in paper form. So here we are. Okay, so, but I think it's going to suffice. What I'm really interested in seeing afterwards is whether it's backwards, because I really don't know if it will be. Anyways, so what we can see here is the 4 boxes, and we define them in 2 ways. One is that the behavior increases along the side here, or down here, that the behavior decreases by using that consequence. And the second thing we can look at is that up at the top, we've added something to the environment or we've removed something from the environment. Okay, so those are our choices. And depending on which 2 we pick, it's going to give us one of the consequences. So first one, our bread and butter. This is what we focus on the very most. This is what you need to learn how to do well, and then more or less just stick with. And that's positive reinforcement. So in positive reinforcement, we've added something to the environment, and we are seeing an increase in behavior as a result. So this in layman's terms is a reward, or what people think of when they say reward. So this might be getting a high five, getting tokens, money is positive reinforcement, a smile is positive reinforcement, getting Skittles or getting chair rides or getting out of class early, getting an A on a test. Any of those things can be positive reinforcement as long as it's valuable to you. And not everybody shares the same reinforcers. The second option that we have to increase behavior is this one over in the blue. And this is when we see an increase in behavior, but we've removed something from the environment. And this is what we call negative reinforcement, or in layman's terms, relief. So this is when after the behavior occurs, we take away something that they didn't want there anyway, something that's aversive. So that's why it's relief, because there's something there they don't like. They perform a specific behavior, and then that thing's gone. So in the future, they're more likely to perform that behavior again to get rid of that thing they don't want. So examples might be scratching an itch, or shutting a window because you're cold. It might be turning off a light that's making a weird buzzing noise. Once you've identified that it's the light that's making the noise, then the next time you hear it, that behavior that turned off the light the last time is going to be your go-to because it was reinforced by getting that relief. So again, you're removing something from the environment, but it's making behavior go up, okay? So the next 2 down at the bottom, these are when we're making behavior decrease, and these are punishment procedures. So we talked about this really briefly, but let's go into just a little more detail. So we have positive punishment or negative punishment again, just like with the reinforcement. Both make behavior decrease, but in 2 different ways. So positive punishment, like positive reinforcement, is when we're adding something to the environment. That's what the positive means. It's like just addition. And this one doesn't have a layman's terms because most people, this is what they think of when they're thinking of punishment. So this would be like traditionally a spanking would be positive punishment, or giving someone lines to do at school, giving a person extra chores to do. Any of those things would qualify as positive punishment. Because you don't want that added to your environment. So it's going to make that behavior less likely to happen again in the future, so as to avoid it. And then the last one is negative punishment over here on the bottom. So this is where we are removing something from the environment, to decrease behavior. So this one, in layman's terms, is a penalty. So think of it as there's something really good in the environment and now you've lost access to it because of whatever behavior you performed. So this could be like in hockey, like an actual penalty, like you lose a player off the ice or something. This could be a teenager losing access to their cell phone, or I mean, it's 2018, anyone losing access to their cell phone. This could be losing access to your parents' car, though. For a little kiddo, this could be their toy being put away on a shelf where they can't get to it because of whatever. Maybe they threw that toy and now it's being put away. So any of these things can be negative punishment, just where you have something, you have access to something that you deem good, and it's being removed. And so you're less likely to perform that behavior in the future, so as not to lose it again. Now, like I said, the positive reinforcement is our bread and butter. That is what we focus on all the time in intervention. We do use some negative reinforcement, but I find it to be more incidental, that an opportunity arises and so you use that as a teachable moment. Not a situation that we set up on purpose very often, because then we're choosing to put an aversive stimuli into an environment with our client, and that's not really positive for our client. That's not something that we want to do if we can help it. So so we don't usually start with that, but sometimes the opportunity arises where you can teach them how to escape that aversive, right, and then reinforce it. The punishment procedures, I think I said in the last video, but these are a last resort. We don't use these without the guidance of a behavior analyst and without a lot of thought put into it, because it is aversive. We don't want to punish our clients. We want to reinforce them for the awesome things that they are doing instead. So reinforcement, positive reinforcement, is going to look very different depending on your client, which is why you need to spend that time building instructional control, getting to know them, and seeing what it is that they want to work for. Because if you don't know that, you don't know anything. You can't do anything without reinforcement. So that is my blurb on reinforcement. I think that is a good initial step into it, but we'll see. I think there probably is a little bit more information about it coming later on again.